Hello everybody, welcome to another astrology forecast for the new moon in Libra, which is happening today, Saturday, September 28th at about 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm really excited to get into all of this, working with this energy with you all today. Before I dig in, I just wanted to give a heads up that for the next new moon, which will be the new moon in Scorpio, I believe it will be happening amidst a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. I'm going to be doing an online workshop, new moon workshop. So for folks who've been to new moon workshops before, you kind of will know the gist. For folks who are new to my new moon workshops, basically it's sort of like how to prepare for the new moon, and we'll be doing it in a online chat room, and I feel like it'll be a cool way to reconnect with some of y'all and get to see some sweet faces that I haven't seen in a little bit, and yeah, dig into this energy. And then also, if you're interested in learning more about your own chart or how all of this impacts you directly, please feel free to reach out. I will be doing an intro to astrology 3-part online workshop series coming up in the late fall, so keep your eyes peeled for that as well. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start with kind of like the backdrop or our context for this new moon today. So Saturn went direct just a few days ago on the 18th, about 10 days ago while it's stationed, and then it slowly starting to move back forward, and it had been retrograde since April of 2019. This is normal. It goes retrograde every year for a pretty long chunk of time, and it's been retrograding along with the south node of the moon in Capricorn. So there's been a lot of like heavy, intense stuff coming up around karma, around being in our power, being in our integrity, being authentic in how we're showing up to things. There can be a lot of stuff around control and around sort of hoarding power, and sort of these shadowy aspects of Capricorn. And so Saturn has really been kind of like taking this, needing to humble itself, being in this beautiful ongoing sextile with Neptune, which is sort of like the spiritual guide, spiritual leader, the mystic, sort of listening to the mystic, turning towards the intuition a little more perhaps than the pragmatic and rational world around us. And so as Saturn has been starting to move direct, and we have Jupiter now moving direct, and we'll have Pluto moving direct soon, it's going to be a time of, we've learned so much in this last basically half a year. We've shed a lot, we've done a lot of shadow work, and I think that there will be, I mean, with Scorpio season coming up, we're going to get right back into it, but I truly believe that this new moon is this kind of moment of levity. We also, in the last few days, were dealing with a really intense square between Venus in its home sign in Libra, where it is also for this new moon today, which is really quite beautiful. Venus square Saturn in the south node of the moon and the north node of the moon in Cancer, so in a T-square, and so that's been creating a lot of strain in relationships, in with money and finances. It's like Saturn's going direct, and it's like, oh, you thought this was gonna go well? Like lots of brick walls in the last few days are really weird money, really weird money stuff, really weird interpersonal stuff, really weird relationship stuff, and I think it was sort of this final, like, shake off what is not working for you, what is not true, what is not you, like, get rid of it, shed it, so that we could really show up to this new moon with a renewed sense of clarity. So, on the day of this new moon, we have an absolutely beautiful sextile that is happening between Venus and Jupiter, and it will be exact just within, you know, the hours following the new moon, within the rest of this day today on Saturday. And sextiles are these like really beautiful opportunities. And Jupiter in Sagittarius now moving direct is like Santa Claus. It's like this abundant, jovial, generous, expansive energy. And so having Venus come into this sextile with Jupiter is like, okay, like open up, receive. Now you kind of, we went through that intense thing with Saturn. What did you see? What shadows came up? What else are you ready to kind of like hold and accept and love about yourself? And now, like, open up. This is like such an amazing day to be planting these really pure seeds of potential for what we can draw into our lives in terms of relationships, in terms of beauty, in terms of love, in terms of art and creativity and expression and harmony and peace. And so, yeah, I think this is a really awesome day. I mean, new moons are always, I think, really potent times to be setting intentions, writing wishes. But I think today, tomorrow, and the following day, perhaps waiting until tomorrow to really have clarity around all of this, I think will allow for us to really draw in some really beautiful, beautiful stuff into our realm. So I think this, yeah, I mean, we really couldn't ask for a more potent opportunity than having Venus in its home sign of Libra, Sagittarius in its home, or Jupiter in its home sign of Sagittarius in this sextile. And then we're going to be having Venus ultimately coming in conjuncting that Neptune, Sagittarius, and starting a new cycle. We also have, so as Saturn is moving direct now, it's finally leaving the south node of the moon, which it's been traveling along with. So this is really a time, I think, where we can be getting ready, preparing, sort of like revving up our engines to be stepping into power. We still have Mars moving through Virgo. There is still this like busy kind of task-oriented energy that's available to us. And then we're going to be having Mars eventually moving into Libra. And the energy of Libra is of levity, of balance, of harmony. And so I feel like one of the main things I've been thinking about is how can we find this sense of inner peace, this sense of harmony amidst really radical changes. So this new moon is happening at 5 degrees of Libra, which means that the sun and the moon are both conjunct at 5 degrees of Libra. And we've got two kind of intense and challenging aspects happening with the sun and moon. The first is that Uranus, which was in a trine in the last new moon we had in Virgo, Uranus has been like really making itself known in the astrological realms the last little bit here. It's really shaking things up. Lots of really chaotic changes happening in our very immediate kind of space in Taurus there, you know, our safety nets, the things that make us feel, the things we can rely on starting to kind of crumble and fall apart and leave us to ourselves, you know, what is left. And so there's a really kind of awkward aspect going on, which is a quincunx, and this is particularly potent because we've got all of this kind of Venusian energy in Libra, and Venus rules both Libra and Taurus. And so having this Uranus at 5 degrees of Taurus and the sun and the moon at 5 degrees of Libra, it's kind of this like, we've got to figure out how to find for ourselves this sense of inner peace and this sense of levity and harmony amidst really kind of awkward, destructive, chaotic change. We've got that going on, and then opposed to the sun and the moon at 3 degrees of Aries. So with the sun and the moon in Libra, Libra being the sign of balance, harmony, relationships. I sort of picture Libra energy as like two sort of like bubbles, like here's me and here's you, and we're autonomous and we're sovereign beings. That's something that's been a big theme that's been coming up for me from a few different sort of areas and sources is this idea of sovereignty. And I think Libra's about fairness. It's about justice. It's like what is what is fair, what is even, what is right, and the compromise that's involved in being with other people, working with other people, holding space for, and this is the Scorpio energy that's going to be coming in really soon, like all of our shadows, all of our really heavy, dark stuff that we need to hold space for, and we need to figure out how to love. I feel like that's been just a major theme for the last few weeks, at least for me, is like and Libra being a sign of love in this like sort of heart chakra, like light, airy kind of way. How can we return home to love? And again, North Node in Cancer, like returning home to love is kind of this like major theme. So we've got this sort of like balancing act going on in Libra. We've also got Mercury in Libra, just loving it. Poetry, art, it's very kind of like la da da da, like sort of spacious and light and uplifting, and we're trying to get into that head. We're trying to tap into and like feel out and like enjoy that headspace amidst these challenging aspects that we've had with Saturn. And we have Chiron in Aries, opposed to the Sun and the Moon. So Chiron is the wounded healer. It is where, what I love so much about Chiron is this idea that like in the wounds, in our deepest wounds, is the medicine that we need to heal ourselves. In our areas of, deepest areas of trauma, deepest areas of wounding, within the wound is the medicine. And so Chiron right now is in Aries, moving pretty slowly through Aries. And so we're having this wounding in, depending on where Aries falls in your chart, it will look differently. But Aries is, I am the center of my world. My needs, my priorities. So there can be this kind of intense, it's challenging right now to sort of like find that power, find that courage, find that being self-assured, being confident. Whereas the Libra energy is like, oh, maybe you're right, or maybe I was overthinking it, or and kind of like doubting our guttural kind of responses and reactions to things, and finding that perhaps we're having a hard time saying no to things or setting boundaries or prioritizing ourselves. And I think, it's really kind of this moment right now, I think, with this new moon sort of sitting right across from this Chiron energy, is like the way that the Libra energy works best is when everyone's needs can be heard and everyone can really show up as their whole and complete selves, not these like modified sort of versions of ourselves to like appease others or be like to be having space held for us, or that we don't need to be these kind of polished. Libra can be kind of people pleaser energy, like, oh, it needs to like look so nice and light and pretty, and it's like, no, we got to show up with our wounding in our gut. That's how we're all showing up, is we're all wounded. We all have shadows. We all have things that are flaring up right now as Chiron is moving through Aries, kind of like in our bodies, in our confidence, like. So I think this is a time of like reassuring ourselves, like, I am powerful, and like that balance doesn't, and compromise doesn't look like giving up our power or compromising our needs. I feel like my needs are not needy is a thing that is a sort of like phrase that's been like really helpful for me through this time. We are all just as we are wounded, and we are whole even as we're wounded and even as we're healing. And so I think if we can, with this new moon, sort of just like, it almost feels cleansing to me, like we just got through this weird Venus-Saturn stuff, and we're going to be, having the sun eventually moving into those squares as well, but it's like this moment of levity, this moment of clarity, this moment of like purification, so that, we can really kind of now with the Saturn moving forward, Jupiter moving forward, Pluto eventually moving forward, like, let's, do what we're here to do. Reconnect with our purpose and connect with others and know the value of what we bring into relationships, not doubting ourselves. And this Chiron in Aries is like, ooh, like being self-conscious, of our value and thinking devaluing ourselves. And I think this is a time to really kind of like amp up, like, I bring a lot into my relationships. I bring a lot into my collaborations. I bring a lot into my work environment. I bring a lot to my family. Like, just really kind of seeing and saying, like, not devaluing ourselves, not giving power up and saying, like, this is, I need to be defined by other people, or my value is defined by other people, but rather I am bringing this value, like, see this value and like hold space for it, or that's okay, this doesn't need to maybe be a relationship that's happening in our lives right now. So yeah, lots going on, lots of continued growth, and yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pull some cards. I'm gonna pull cards today from a different deck, from my Daughters of the Moon tarot deck, which is a deck that my sisters got for me. So sweet. So we'll see what comes up for some guidance today. This new moon. Okay, so we'll start the Nine of Cups, looking lovely in her upright position. So with these cards, they come out in tilted or upright, and this card came out perfectly upright. So Nine of Cups, yeah, this feels very kind of inner peace, inner harmony, just kind of complete, like, emotional intelligence. So this capacity to, so yeah, and Libra is this capacity to not let things like set off our chain of reaction. So things that trigger us, where we can feel it flare up through our whole body. The Libra energy is and when that happens, we're not like judging or shaming ourselves for that kind of response, but I think Libra energy is kind of like, it catches it at the root, and it's like, ooh, like, we're not gonna let this upset our whole freaking nervous system, our whole body. We're not gonna let this like disrupt and ruin our day, our week, our, like, more mundane kind of things. Or even if they're not mundane, like, we can have control over not letting things that happen totally throw us for a loop and throw us off, and sort of maintaining that homeostasis, that inner peace, that calm nervous system. I feel like that's a big thing that I've been like calling in, is like calm nervous system. So yeah, we've got the Nine of Cups, and then we've got so this card reads oppression. This is the Devil card in traditional decks, and it came up tilted here. And I think whenever I see the Devil card, and in both of my decks, it's called oppression, which I think I really resonate with, because the Devil card is often about, like, how are we holding ourselves back? How are our demons like running the show? How are we being controlled or captured by our demons? And I think oppression also like holds space for all of the systemic powers that can hold us in various states of sort of like victimhood, and can create really real harm. Are creating real harm. And so yeah, this to me, though, is a card, particularly in this deck, is a card of resistance. Like, she's down kind of like beneath this pile of rubble. And to me, it's like, all right, like, how are we going to get ourselves out of there? Like, how are we going to climb out from under all of this stuff and sort of like move through? And I think this is just a time of like keeping an eye on like what stories are continuing to show up for us. And I really think this is this Chiron in Aries, like this woundedness in our sense of just self and purpose and inner strength. Like, what stories are coming up again and again that are that are demoralizing, that are devaluing us, that are holding us back, that are making us feel unworthy of unconditional love. Like, and unconditional love, third card, this came up tilted as well, is the Mother of Cups. And in this particular deck, this is associated with the sign of Cancer. So, yeah, North Node in Cancer, like, how can we be returning home to love? Like, that really feels like, and I know, you know, Libra is about love in this kind of more light-hearted way, but I really do feel right now like this Cancer energy is like pulling us home. Like, how can we, amidst all of this change and amidst all of this like self-doubt and uncertainty and sort of like woundedness around our value here and our purpose here, how can we be returning home to love? And with all of, you know, all of the stories we have about ourselves and all the shame and all of the guilt and all of like returning, loving it unconditionally, showering ourselves, holding ourselves in love. So yeah, I think there's a lot to work with today. I think if you can like get in some water or even have like a cleansing shower, or like you know, if you work with stones, I think today would be a really good day to like wash your stones. And like, I mean, the new moons always are, but this new moon really does feel kind of like cleansing and purifying and sort of like returning us back to our power. And by sort of creating that that capacity for inner peace and homeostasis. So I think that'll do it for today. Please reach out if you are, if any of this is resonating, and keep an eye out for offerings coming soon. I'm sending so much love to everyone. And yeah, thanks all for tuning in.